Okay, good afternoon, and I'll be chatting with Mr. Babatunde Irukera today about the adaptation of information communication technology to the Commission's operations, particularly the FCCPC app, which I see as a dispute dissolver, a term I picked from Richard Susskind from one of his works. So Mr. Irukera is the Chief Executive of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, formerly Consumer Protection Council of Nigeria. So the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Council is the foremost competition and consumer protection authority in Nigeria. The commission was established by the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Act 2018 to, among other duties, secure the protection of rights for all consumers in Nigeria. So Mr. Irukera started overseeing the transition and operationalization of the commission since January 30, 2019, after the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Act was enacted. So he is responsible for the daily management and leadership of the commission in fulfilling its mandate to promote market competition, protect consumers, and secure remedies when consumer rights are violated. So Mr. Irukera, you are very welcome. And thank you for agreeing
to very much.
Have this chat with us at ODR Africa. We're delighted to always chat with you because we learn a lot and we're greatly encouraged by the work that you do. So I am going to ask you a few questions as we go along. So upon your assumption as CEO of FCCPC, what did you find as a burning issue, really, that you needed to attend to? What did you think was the most important thing you needed to attend to?
So there are two sides to that. Okay. One is from operational standpoint, and then the other side is from a mandate impact standpoint. Yeah. From the mandate and impact standpoint, there were two key things. One was healthcare was a big deal, and I thought there was a lot that we could do just to improve the quality of care and the accountability of healthcare professionals to patients or consumers, especially with issues like whether consumers were entitled to emergency medical care in the event that they had received injuries that could potentially implicate criminal conduct, whether gunshot injuries or not. And so developing a patient's bill of rights was one of the first things I set out to. That's on the mandate side. On the operational side, one of the greatest criticisms of the organization that I inherited was its own responsiveness. And so people complain, and so essentially the lack of responsiveness that brought them to complain was also an extended experience with the organization. And so for me, the question was, how do you manage that responsiveness? And technology for me was going to be the most important tool for doing that. And so on my first day on the job, we started working on the patient's bill of rights. Within my first week on the job, I started looking for the right technology partners to set up the right mechanism. So those were the two burning issues at the time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Irukera. And I feel you, because so many of us were very frustrated with the excesses of e-commerce sites and the seeming helplessness of the populace. So it was a big breath of fresh air when we learned about the launch of your complaints app, because every day you would open the newspapers and you would find helpless consumers complaining about the lack of remedies that they got for wrongs. So can you please take us through the key elements of that complaints app, because it's something that a lot of us are very interested in.
Good. And so the first thing I'd like to let you know from a concept standpoint, that it's a work in progress, okay, in the sense that One of the things I'm hopeful I can accomplish in my time here is for the FCCPC not to be a major complaint resolution authority. Sadly, the vast majority of society considers this the place to go to file a complaint and get it resolved. And it shouldn't be. The reality of it is that it's companies that owe that responsibility to resolve complaints. And I say to companies many times that the government is out subsidizing their business. And they obviously reject that every time. And I say, well, you've outsourced your customer complaint resolution function to the government. That's what I am. And so the FCCPC, in a manner of speaking, sometimes just seems to be multi-company customer service desk. And I hope that that will change. So that I want you to understand that in developing a robust complaint resolution mechanism, it's not because I want to attract thousands and thousands of complaints every day and resolve them. It's actually because I want us to get to a point where that's not the case. So having said that, this is the way the system works. So there's a portal. Now the portal is integrated into multiple channels, meaning that you can complain by email. It would ultimately end in the complaint database. You can complain by a mobile app or Android phones. And that complaint also is integrated with the portal. Or you can go on the website and go straight on the portal and file a complaint. And some people still walk in. So we have data entry people who will take the walk-in complaints and enter them into the portal. And so what the portal does is that it at least gives us full visibility immediately into your complaint. It registers it, it codes it and tags it with an identification number, and at least responds. And then there's an assignment process where that complaint is assigned to a caseworker. And so right now we're still doing, back end somewhat manually. However, the real plan, and that's in pilot stage now, is for companies to plug in, to subscribe to this platform. And so as complaints come in, the platform would be able to send it directly to the companies. And so they're the ones who have a responsibility for resolution, unlike now, where once we receive a complaint and it's assigned, we contact the company and say there's a complaint, we need you to resolve it. So what we would prefer is for things to be able to go straight to the company. And we would be able to monitor, there'll be specific timelines. Some companies have signed on, and so we can say it's working. We're going to leave the pilot stage this first quarter of this year. COVID slowed us down last year. And so when the vast majority of companies are signed in, our role is now secondary. It's for complaints that the companies do not resolve that we're seeing have gone red, in the sense that a reasonable time has passed and they haven't been resolved. And so the next phase, after this phase of our technology, is now how the secondary level disputes are resolved. And we have two prongs, maybe two prongs to who the resolutors are, but maybe about three prongs to how the resolution can be. The two prongs to who the resolutors are either the agency or neutral interlocutors. And so for certain complaints that don't resolve, the agency would look at it and say, we're interested in this anyway, especially if it's something pervasive and we think an industry-wide investigation or a conduct by a specific company that we think is happening repeatedly and calls for further inquiry. And so that goes straight to the agency. Okay. There might be some other ones that the agency might be interested in. However, for neutral interlocutors, who ultimately we would hope we can also find a way to get on the platform once they're accredited. Once part of the triaging a complaint, especially at the secondary level, is to find out If the company and the complainant are willing or open to a neutral interlocutory process, and so the neutral interlocutors who are on our platform can become engaged in how that happens. We believe that when all of this works together, there will be a lot more complaints filed, but the regulator will now be responsible for resolving far less complaints than we are responsible for resolving now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Irukera. And I just have a question for you. Between the time when you made making the complaints very accessible and the time before then, has the number of complaints that you received as a commission, has it increased or reduced? And can you give us an idea of what you have seen within that period?
So there are a few things the technology has done. First, prior to the technology, our data was not credible because it was all manual. And so we couldn't use it for anything that was where the integrity of the data was important. We couldn't hold a company responsible for how many times you thought they were having the same problem because they would challenge your data. So our data is now more credible. When I took on the role in April 2017, the commission was receiving, or the council as it was then, an average of 700 to 1,000 complaints per annum.
Nigeria's population is about
200 million.
200 million.
200 million.
Interesting. Very interesting.
At the first quarter of 2020 last year,
yes,
it was a bad week that we got only 1,000 complaints. So what we were getting annually, we're getting weekly.
So
it continues to scale up. And so obviously accessibility has increased. I mean, and it has also promoted some level of confidence in the process for people.
Okay. Well, going by one Monsura Amzat on your website, and this is her comment. She says, this is the most efficient government agent in Nigeria as of today. I'm grateful to the FCCPC team. God bless you. God bless you. And we have so many numerous feedback online. So you could be the most popular agency if we took out a poll in Nigeria today. Do you think you have achieved that feat without deploying technology? Is it possible without technology? That I know you've talked about it.
No, it's not possible. So I think that we're still long ways away from where we need to be. And where we desire to be is even further than where we need to be. The benchmark for success from a scorecard of the consumers, we haven't gotten to that.
Yeah.
But what our own personal aspirations and benchmark for ourselves is even beyond that. So we're not where we need to be, and certainly we're not where we desire to be. But I'd say something.
Yeah.
We are receiving how many times more complaints than before? Our budget has reduced, and we have not added more employees since I've been here. And so we're more efficient. It's really based on how we have rethought our resourcing and reallocated our resources. And technology is by far the dominant factor in that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Irukera. So from your explanation, it's very obvious that the impact of deploying this app has made dispute resolution or complaint more accessible to more people, and it's made it more efficient. And if I can tell you from a consumer's viewpoint, I hear that the fear of FCCPC is the beginning of wisdom for most retailers, because if you go onto your website, what most people add on is that immediately they file their complaint, the retailers come knocking at their door and begging and that's why I call you the dispute resolver, because you don't even allow those complaints to escalate to disputes anymore. And you're doing such a great work at FCCPC, and we wish the FCCPC team led by you a very wonderful 2021. We look forward to getting much more positive news of your impact in making sure society is at peace in 2021 and beyond. Thank you very much, Mr. Irukera, for this time with you. It was such a pleasure talking with you. But you haven't given us
Thank you very much for your kindness.
The URL address yet. I don't believe you gave us that. For those who are not Nigerian.
FC.
Yes.
It's fccpc.gov.ng.
Thank you.
fccpc.gov.ng.
For those who would be interested in checking out the great work.
If you're looking to get for ease of complaint, yes, if you want to download the app, just for FCCPC in middle of the stores.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Mr. Irukera. Nice chatting with you. Thank you.